Hi guys, welcome to another video. Sorry it's been a little while since I've done one. I've been having a few problems, particularly with my drum filter over the last week or so. I will be doing a video on that pretty soon. At some point during this video I'll put up a couple of clips of what's been going on with it. But yesterday I had a pond only half full of water. But I don't really want to put a video out on that until I know exactly what's causing the problem. As you can see, the fish are all sulking a little bit, not coming up to the window. That's because I've just done some scrapes. And once again, we've got flukes. So far this year, I've done 2 treatments with LearnX Pro already, and it's still not clearing them. So. And the second treatment, I did a dose of CT the day before. I've been speaking to Darren from Absolute Koi about my drum, but I also had a chat with him about flukes. And he reckons doing a PP treatment before putting the fluke treatment in, just to help strip some of the mucus off the fish. He said it should help shift really stubborn flukes, which is what I seem to have. So they're all sulking a little bit at the moment because I've been doing some scrapes, but I've still been getting some flicking, and I've only done the scrape on one fish, and I think I found 5 flukes on that one fish, and that's a week after doing the dose with LearnX Pro again. So I'm going to PP treat the pond now, and then I've got some fluke solve this time, so I'm going to PP it. I'll leave it a couple of hours and then I'll put the fluke solve in straight away. And the other thing that I was recommended to do was to turn the shower off for 24 hours. Apparently the showers do gas off treatments pretty quickly. It will, it is going to really knock back my biological filtration, which I've only really just got going, but I've got to get rid of these flukes. They just seem to be really stubborn and I'm really struggling to get rid of them. So anyway, I'm going to get some PP mixed up now. I'm going to get the air back onto the bottom drain, get that in, and keep an eye on them for the next 4 hours. Alright, before I get the PP in the pond, I just want to do a quick purge on the bottom drain, just to get out as much organic rubbish as I can. As you can see, I've moved my dechlorinators now to back behind the pond. Just switched off the shower, just so the drum doesn't go into a bit of a meltdown when I turn this ball valve. So I'll try and do this one-handed, hopefully not get me or the dog soaked, but see what happens. So I'll shut off the main 4-inch valve to the pond, and again at some point I might plumb this to a drain, but for now I'm just going to do it into the bucket. So I'm going to open this 4-inch ball valve full and see what rubbish comes out. Try and do it one-handed. You can see the water comes out of there pretty quickly. To be quite honest, that didn't really pull anything up. I was expecting it to really pull up a bit of dirt, but oh well. I guess because I run quite a high flow through my bottom drain, I've not had a lot of settlement in there. I'll open this back up and get the shower back on. Right, so I've got my PP just in a little bucket with an air stone in there. I'll leave that for half an hour. I'm going to quickly run a manual clean on the drum. And turn my UV off. That's that off. Sorry about that, I don't know what happened to the camera there. And now I'll just quickly show you what I've been up to with the moving bed. So I've had a go at making a new outlet for that. I'll just show you that quickly while I wait for this, and then I'll come back to you when we're adding this into the pond. Right, so anyone who's been following my channel for a while knows I've been having a bit of problem with my IBC moving bed. See, the media is still bagged up in there at the moment. What's happening was all the media was getting sucked and stuck against this filter cage. It wasn't going through it, but it was restricting the flow. I'm not sure
really be able to see it very well. But there's a ball valve under there, but the water is basically sucked in from the sides rather than from the end. So a few people have said just put a rubber boot over it, but if you put a rubber boot there, it actually blocks all the water from going in. I hope that makes sense anyway. So I've been trying to find a way around it without spending too much money. So trying to bodge something together with some of the bits that I've already got. And what I've come up with, which I'm going to try. So this is an offcut bit of 110mm waste pipe I had from when I did my first pond. And this is the cage off my 20,000 litre an hour pump. What I'm going to need to do is cut a load of slots in this, or holes in this pipe as well, just so it's drawing the water from a much wider surface area, so hopefully it won't make the media stick to it, because there'll be a bit less suction with it spread out. But this, I don't know if I can do this one hand, hopefully without dropping my phone. That 110mm pipe fits pretty much perfectly over that outlet. If I whack a load of silicone around there, that should be absolutely fine. Silicone does dry underwater as well. I'm not sure whether to drain it down and do it with no water in it, or just whack the silicone on and stick it in. I'm going to have to think on that for a minute, but to start with I'll get a load of holes drilled in that pipe. Right, so I think I'm going to try and drain it down, at least just while I put it in place, and then I'll have to fill it back up. Because I haven't fitted any ball valve or anything on there, the only way I can empty this is if I empty the whole drum, so I'll have to shut off the bottom drain and the skimmer temporarily, pump all the water out. I can shut off the ball valve down there so it doesn't flow back in, get that fitted, and then let it all fill back up. Because the pond's right at its limit in terms of water level, just so when I pump it out all that water doesn't go down the overflow, I've put that on there. It may still overflow over the edge of the pond when I pump all that water out of the IBC back into the pond. I'll probably fill up my bowl as well, try and save as much of the water as possible. Right, so I was trying to empty the water out of the IBC, and it's obviously it raised the water level and it's just flowing over the front of the window. That wasn't very smart. I'll have to just put some silicone in and hopefully it'll cure underwater. Bloody hell, I should have thought about that really, idiot. Right, that's got that pushed over the end of that outlet. See, that sealant should cure underwater, so I'm going to turn the pump back on and see how it runs. Just in case there's any dirt or silicone that gets sucked through the pump, I'm going to shut off the air source heat pump, which is this one for now. Just run it all through the bypass. Last thing I want is putting any sludge around the air source heat pump, so at least it'll go into the pond and then go back round through the filters. But that shouldn't come off there, I don't think. I'll run that for a little bit, and then if it's working alright, I'll take all the K1 out of there and see how we go. Another thing you can see is there's quite a lot of muck on the bottom of this, and this is obviously after the drum. Something I'm going to have to keep an eye on, and I guess relatively regularly I'm going to need to get all the media out and clean this out. You know, although it is only really fine dirt, it will build up over time. I imagine most people, if they have a look inside their moving beds, they'll probably be quite surprised how much is in there. Well, it's been running about 20 minutes with the air on. I don't know whether I'll even be able to get it so you can see it. You can see there's still K1 sticking to the end of the pipe, and also to the sides as well. To be honest, I think I'm pretty much out of ideas on what to do about it. I think any inlet, when you're sucking the water out, because the media is neutrally buoyant, it's going to get stuck against it. I don't really see any way around it, to be quite honest. I mean, the only thing I can really think of is to once a week turn the pumps off just for a few seconds to let the media float off. yeah, I can't really see any other way around it. I mean, now I think back on it, my old pond, I had a pump like that with that cage on, just sat in the bottom of the moving bed. So although I never realised it, I imagine that was doing exactly the same thing. It never really caused me any problems, to be honest. And obviously I turn the pump off every couple of days when I clean the Easy Pod out, so it was, you know, releasing it, and it obviously never got to a point where it blocked up and cut the supply of water to the pump. So I think I'll just carry on, and yeah, once a week flick that pump off for a couple of seconds. So I've got my PP treatment mixed up. I'm going to add that into the water slowly now. You can see I've got the air running from the bottom drain, the shower running, and I've got 2 air pumps running on the moving bed, so it's a 75 litre a minute pump running on there, and there's 2 35 litre a minute pumps running on the moving bed, so I've got plenty of oxygen. But I have got some hydrogen peroxide solution which neutralises the PP really quickly if the fish are showing any signs of stress. So we'll get this in now. I'll perhaps put a little bit in now and then put a bit in a few minutes. Put it right over the air so it spreads it out nice and quickly. So this is going to turn the water a nice purple colour. You can see it go around the pond quite quickly already. You want to keep the water purple for 4 hours. I'm going to mix up a second dose after I've got all this in, just in case it goes brown before the 4 hours are up. Hopefully I won't need it, but I did add some dechlorinator yesterday when I had a problem with my drum emptying a load of water, so I don't know if that's going to neutralise it really quickly. I'm hoping that will have gassed off by now. I'll get the rest of that in a few minutes and keep an eye on the fish for the next 4 hours. Right, so we're still purple in the pond. I mean, you can't see the fish at all in there really. There you go. There's one of them. I think they're doing okay. The first dose of PP just went brown straight away. It was neutralised by the dechlorinator I put in yesterday, so I had to dose it again. I've got one more full dose of PP, which I'll add a little bit at a time if I need to keep it brown for 4 hours, as I think it's starting to go brown again already. So note to any of you guys, if you are going to PP, make sure you haven't used liquid dechlorinator in your pond for a few days before. But I'm going to keep a close eye on the fish. If I do see any fish at the top or gasping or anything like that, I'll neutralise it straight away. You can't really see them on the video, but they're swimming around on the bottom, looking a little bit moody, but I really need to get rid of these flukes. They've been, you know, I've had them in some form or another for probably the last year, so this is kind of the nuclear option. But if it gets rid of them, it's got to be done. I mean, hopefully with the pond being heated, the filter should bounce back pretty quick, but getting rid of the parasites is more important than how much I can feed at the moment. Right, so PP's been in the water for about 2 hours. As you can see, the water's still nice and purple. I'm keeping a real close eye on the fish at the moment. They are sort of coming up quite high in the water. They're not gasping at the surface, but they're not overly impressed by it. PP strips the oxygen out of the water, so you know they're up in the water because you know that's where all the surface movement is. So there's a bit more oxygen up in the water there. So yeah, they're certainly not very happy with this treatment. I'm going to keep a real close eye on them. I think I'm probably going to have to neutralise this early. Yeah, I'm going to stay out in the garden with the fish anyway, and if I see them start sort of gasping at the surface, I'm going to get it neutralised straight away. Right,
Right, so looking at the fish, I've got a lot of fish sitting at the surface now. I think it's time that we got this PP neutralised. They're yeah, they're definitely not happy in there. The last thing I want to do is have a pond full of dead fish. Yeah, that Ashiba particularly is really not happy at the moment. We get that hydrogen peroxide in, get it neutralised, and hopefully they'll all calm down. So this is only to strip the mucus off the fish to allow the fluke treatment to penetrate better. So hopefully, although it's not at the full dose, hopefully that will be enough to do that. But I don't really want to put the fish through any more than that. You know, I don't want to end up with a load of dead fish. You can see they're not very happy at the moment. Right, so I've got the hydrogen peroxide in to neutralise it. You can see the water's gone brown now, or at least going brown. I've used PP a few times in the past, and I've never had the problem with the fish gasping at the surface like this. But you know, this is just a reminder to all you guys out there: make sure that you watch your fish while you do PP. You know, if I'd gone back inside and left it for the 4 hours, I probably would have come back to a pond full of dead fish. Hopefully in a few minutes, you know, that hydrogen peroxide reoxygenates the water quite quick, so hopefully they'll calm down in a few minutes. Yeah, so it's only done just over 2 hours purple, but hopefully that'll be enough to strip some of the slime coat and get the fluke solve treatment to work a bit better. I am going to bypass the shower when I do the fluke solve treatment, so hopefully that will help as well. But yeah, last thing I want to do is kill all my fish off doing a PP treatment just to strip the mucus off them. Right, so it's been about an hour and a half after the PP. It's a bit annoying I had to neutralise that early. Hopefully it will have had the required effect of stripping some of the mucus, but obviously I won't know until I do a scrape in another week or so. But I'm going to get the fluke solve in now. Just getting that mixed up. As I said, I'm going to turn the shower off, and hopefully that's not going to gas it off. I'll still leave the drum running, but just through the biochamber and the air source heat pump. So it'll be running quite slowly, so hopefully the drum won't clean too often and take it out too quickly. I've got that mixed up now. I'm going to quickly turn the shower off and run a manual clean on the drum and then get that in. Right, so that's all the fluke solve in the pond as well. Fish are not going to be very happy with me for a little while, I don't think. So I've turned the shower off. I'm going to leave that off for 24 hours. Hopefully give this fluke treatment a chance to, you know, to really take hold and get rid of those flukes. I'm still running the moving bed through the air source heat pump. I'm going to leave just that pump running, and I've pushed the sensors down a little bit in the drum, so it will clean if it gets really dirty, but it won't just clean all the time. What I am going to do now, I've got some EA filter start gel. Obviously now I've done that PP treatment, that will have knocked it back a little bit, so I'll get a bit of that in here. I'll give that 10-15 minutes to soak in, and I'll turn the air back on there, and then tomorrow when I restart the drum, I'll get some of that filter start back in the, when I restart the shower, I'll get some of that filter start in the top of the shower, hopefully get that back matured again. But yeah, fingers crossed this will finally get rid of my flukes anyway. Okay, so fluke solve's been in about an hour now. I'll keep you guys updated over the next few days as to how the fish are getting on. You know, I'm not a total novice fish keeper, but I'm definitely not an expert either, so you know, do your own research before you do any treatments, because you know, that PP treatment nearly went a bit wrong for me. you know, just make sure you're watching your fish when you do any treatments. I'm sure I'm going to get a few dislikes on this video saying what I've done is not the right way to treat for flukes, or it's too harsh on the fish and things like that, but I've had small numbers of flukes on and off pretty much the whole time since I've had this pond. I think flukes were introduced into the pond with the first fish I actually ever put in my first pond, and I don't think I've ever managed to totally get rid of them. You know, so this might have been a really, you know, over the top way to try and get rid of the flukes, but fingers crossed it does the job. If it doesn't get rid of the flukes, I've no idea what I can even try next. As I say, I've used fluke M. Well, I used that on the grow on a couple of times over the winter, and that didn't work at all. I've now used 2 treatments of LearnX Pro, and I did a CT before the second treatment of LearnX Pro, and that's still not got rid of them. So this time we've gone for PP followed by fluke solve. I will do a second treatment of fluke solve. I'm not sure if I'll PP again before I do it. You know, with what happened this time, I think I'll probably do a CT treatment before that one and bypass the shower again for 24 hours. But I'll probably do that in about 2 weeks from now, assuming I don't have any issues with this treatment. The fish have all settled down a bit now. Yeah, they were looking really unhappy after that PP. I was wondering whether I was going to end up losing some, but they're all swimming around fine now, all accounted for. So fingers crossed they're on the mend. As some of you might have seen, I have got a few fish that have got a couple of knocks on them, which I'm really hoping are going to heal this year. You know, my water quality's always spot on. I check that every other day, but it's just these flukes I can't get rid of. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, guys. If you got any comments, put them below, and I'll speak to you on the next video.